Wow, hello YouTube. It's been a really long time, hasn't it? A really, really long time. Um, I'm no longer 15 anymore. I'm actually 17 years old. So yeah, I'm getting older now. I started this channel when I was 15. Now I'm 17. Um, yeah, as you notice, I haven't really been on YouTube for a while, but I have been replying to all your messages as I have been receiving some messages asking me where I've been for the past year or so. But even though I haven't, oh, excuse me, even though I haven't made a video for a while, I do reply to all the comments, or I try to reply to all the comments. And I received a comment by someone called Tonka, or like tonkaaaaa. It has 5 A's, and he or she asked me, what is it like being black in the UK? Now, as most of you know, I'm of the younger generation. I am 17 years old, so I was born in 94. So my experiences as a young black female in London is going to be different from my mum's experiences as a young black female in London, or my dad's experience as a young black male in Birmingham and London, as those are the two places that he has lived in. So from my experience obviously is going to be different. So because the ignorance that white people had was a lot stronger in the 70s, 80s when my parents were young. So their experiences of racism is probably going to be a hell of a lot higher than my experience of racism, because to be honest, I haven't really experienced that much racism. If if I experienced it, I haven't noticed it. Like, obviously you're gonna get people who say a few ignorant comments, not necessarily towards me, but they might have ignorant views towards black people because they're used to just hearing negative stuff about us in the media. But apart from that, I haven't been insulted, or I haven't been treated as less than a person. And to be honest, um, London especially is an extremely diverse place. Like, you get so many different races and cultures. In my area of East London, you hardly ever come across a British white person. Like, a lot of British white people who lived in East London, they all moved to Essex. So, the white Londoners are now living in Essex, and that's probably and one of the reasons why is probably because so many migrants were coming into London, and they obviously didn't appreciate the ethnic diversity. So for me, it's hard for me to say um, there's nothing really, there's not much negativity I can say about living in London, because I grew around, I've only grown around Africans and Caribbeans and Asians, and I haven't experienced any negative stuff. I'm just aware of the stuff, the media input and the brainwashing and that. I'm aware of it, but I haven't actually, you know, had, first hand experience of all the racism and that. Um but as a black person in the UK, I don't know, because I've been here for like all my life. To me, it's just normal. When you grow up in the area for like 17 years of your life, you don't know, because I haven't lived anywhere else either. I don't know what it's like to live anywhere else, so I couldn't really compare it to how I live here in London. Um, and I mean, because I'm literally living in one of the most diverse cities in the whole world, it's not that hard. Like nowadays, they're starting to notice. There's still a lot of work to be done, but slowly there are more and more stuff that is here in the UK and London, especially for black people. You got black magazines, black events, black hair shows. Um, you know, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to explain it because I think I'm one of the young generations. So I don't exactly know what you exactly want to know about how I live in the UK because to me it's just normal. This is just how I live. Um, I interact with every race. I interact with black people on a daily basis, mostly Africans. A lot of my friends are African. My current boyfriend is African. So um, I think you said something about like you like regards to white people. I think. Let me check. You were like oh yeah, how much? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. How am I treated by white people? Well, as I told you, there's hardly any white people in where I live, so I couldn't really say. And my teachers were white, and they treated me just like any other student. How do black people in the UK feel about blacks in the US? US. Well, the only black people in the US that we rarely talk about, the famous ones, Lil Wayne, um, Beyonce, just the just the people in the media, because there's not many African Americans in the UK, so we haven't really socialized with you guys to even have a view about you guys. And one thing that I must say is that the view that we get of African Americans are, Maury, the baby daddy bullshit, all the stereotypical uh, um all the stereotypical um images of an African American female, you know, and an African American male. Like you don't really get any positive, um, you don't really get any positive images of African Americans over in the UK. And I know I have some friends who have been to the US and that, but they haven't really socialized with African Americans again. So I couldn't really say how I feel about US blacks. I have socialized with some on Facebook and that, and they just seem like anyone else. To be honest, I couldn't say. I do realize that they seem to be more hooked up on race than a lot of the black people that I know of in the UK. They like race and this whole black people versus white people tends to be a lot stronger in the UK in the US than it is in the UK. Like people in the UK, we don't really. It's like a taboo subject. We don't really like talking about it, and if you do talk about it, it's within our own homes. Whereas the black people that I know of in the US, they're just open about it. So I think that's one comparison I can make. But I couldn't really say how I feel about African Americans or black people in the US. I don't have a problem with you guys. I just think you know the history, like the history of UK blacks and African American black people are a bit different as well. Like we had a little bit of segregation in the UK in a way that black people and Irish people weren't allowed to go to certain places because of our ethnicity. But I don't think it was as strong as how it was in the US. So regards to that, I think how black people in the UK view white people can be a little bit different from how African Americans view white people. I think most black people in the UK, they don't have any animosity towards white people, whereas I do feel that African Americans in the US do, not all of them obviously, but they do hold some animosity towards white people, or they show how how they feel. Whereas it's not really like that over here. Like you hardly ever talk about race, interracial relationships, etc. Black people don't really talk about that. We do whatever we want to in the UK. Whereas in the US, it's like this African Americans, you cannot date outside your race without someone else having a problem. Whereas over here, we're like, I don't care if you have a problem with it, I'm gonna do whatever I want to. So I think that the mentality, of UK and US blacks is similar, but it's not the same. Because of our different cultural aspects and that. But that's all I have to say in this video. I don't think there's much to say about this topic. I mean, if I think about anything else, if you want to ask me more questions, then feel free to. But I didn't know exactly what you wanted me to say, but that's what I can say about that anyway. Um, Living in the UK, as a young black female, it's not hard for me at all. It's not. I'll get on with everyone, like I said. But yeah, that's all I got to say. And thank you for asking the question. I like questions.